Cool.
Record, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure we had this for right?
Yep. You want me to start recording on my end? I can record on my OBS as well. And I can give you an extra copy of it. Huh? When it starts? Okay.
For 10 minutes before it starts.
That works.
You can hear
Collins and Company. You got this? No. You got this? I can hear me. I can hear me. You can't hear me, Chris? He said he can't hear it in the... You just turned it up some more. Can you hear me at all, Chris? No? It's on. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything, Chris? Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing?
Check, check, 2, 1, 2, mic check, test 2. Check, check, 2, testing 1, 2. Audio check, test 2, 1, 2, mic check, test 2, 1, 2. Check, check, 2, testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Nothing? Check, check. 2, 1, 2. Check, check. 2. Testing. 1, 2. Check 2. Test 2. 1, 2. Check, test 2. 1, 2. Yeah. Check 2. Test. You not getting anything? Check 2, test 2, 1, 2. Nothing.
Just the chorus? Just the chorus. Yeah. On your thumb.
Good afternoon, everyone. If our speakers could please come take their seats, we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Okay, how nice is it to hear live music playing in our courtyard? My name is Kelly Schultz. I'm with the communications team here at New Orleans & Company, and I just wanted to say welcome and thank you all for coming. This event is being live streamed, so we also want to welcome everyone who are watching us online. Today, we are going to go through several speakers, and we began our event with music, and we're going to end our event with music. So I want to recognize the Amy Sharp Trio. They are the people that you just heard performing. And as you all know, a lot goes into putting together events like this, so I also want to recognize Video Ventures, which is one of our member businesses that helped us out today with audio visual. So Sig Greenebaum, who is the co-founder of NOLA by NOLA, could not be here today, so he sends his regards to everyone. He's actually in Chicago producing a music fest, but he's going to be back in town in a couple of days and has really been the driving force behind this entire thing, and Stephen's going to talk about that. So we're going to have several speakers, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, and we also can do one-on-ones afterwards. So I will now turn it over to my boss, our CEO, Stephen Perry of New Orleans & Company. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. It's so great to have you here. This is going to be looked back upon years down the line. It's one of the extraordinary moments in New Orleans music, and there have been a lot of them. Look, we've been through hell for the last 18 months. Our restaurants, our hotels, our tour operators, but nobody was more damaged than musicians and club owners. And we thought we were putting together a great fall. We had Jazz Fest coming back, French Quarter was coming back. There were going to be all the concerts associated, and then it happened, that fateful Sunday, when Quint announced that Jazz Fest was not going to be able to go forward. And there's a ripple effect across the entire music community when that happens because of the way that tours and bookings occur. Then French Quarter Fest falls. But on that first couple of days, there were a lot of us in this room that started thinking, how are we going to save the music? How are we going to keep the music shows going? It was so important to the musicians, but especially to the hard-hit club and venue owners who have their life savings in these clubs, making them work. Well, interestingly, on that Tuesday morning, an old friend of mine, Sig Greenebaum, was getting ready to get on a plane to Chicago where he's putting a music festival together. We've known each other for 2 decades, and he and I and Steve Rehaj worked on the beginning of Voodoo, and we were really helpful. And Steve was sitting in the airport alone thinking, now he's not a venue owner, but he's a good thinker, and he loves music down to the marrow in his bones. And he thought, you know, what are we going to do? I got to call some of the club owners. I got to talk to people like Paul and Mike and Ben and Greg and Howie, and which he did over the next couple of days, to figure out what are we going to do. Well, sitting there in the airport, he started thinking, why don't we do something to create a reason for people to still come, musicians to still play, and the clubs to still be open. And he started looking through, hunting domain names, and then he checked NOLA by NOLA. Because y'all know we've got a North by Northwest, there's a famous South by Southwest. But he came up with something he wanted to nail down, and he did, and he went on and he talked to these guys over the next couple of days, some of whom you'll hear from today. And then Mike Martinovich called me, and we started talking, and we all put our heads together that week. And we got everybody on Zoom. The great thing about Zoom calls, you can do them quick and get a lot of people involved. Well, we started brainstorming. How do we keep the shows going? How do we keep the musicians playing? How do we keep the clubs open? Well, the idea was we're going to create the first major club-based music festival in United States history. You know, we always think about festivals. We think about Coachella or Stagecoach or Jazz and Heritage Festival. We think at about 100,000 people in different fields or different stages. But the reality here in New Orleans, our music comes up from the street, right? I mean, it bubbles up and it lives organically in places where people can play and people can listen intimately, just yards away, and enjoy that power that is New Orleans music. So we started thinking, how do we do this? So call after call, we started building. You know, for us, it first was how do we keep a few shows going those 2 weeks over those Jazz Fest October dates. And then it went to, wait a minute, we're more resilient than that. We're bigger than that. And this is the first time that New Orleans and Company has come together with the owners of all of these clubs to figure out how do we provide the marketing power, the branding power, and the push to drive locals, regionals, and national visitors into those clubs, supporting those musicians and supporting all of those venues. So we made a lot of, I think, great offers to them. Because we'd never, I will tell you, most people have never sat on a call where it had Ben Jaffe and Mike and Paul Peck and Howie and all the folks at, you know, from Buffas to Tips, you know, from Hi-Ho to DBA and Spotted Cat, everybody on the phone together. More than 35 of us. And so as we started talking, we had the one thing they didn't have. We had the money, we had the infrastructure, we have a website and a home that reaches millions and millions of people. It doesn't matter how good Howie is, he can't reach millions of people on a Tuesday night. So we started thinking, how do we pull this thing together? So we decided we've got the brand. Sig came up with a NOLA by NOLA. And what we offered was all the things that you normally have to take months and months and pay a fortune for. We've got a website already that's incredibly well known, NewOrleans.com, that reaches millions. We have the ability to have this live on our site, which is what we offered, at no charge, where we'll do build-outs on every club and every venue, to where it's almost like Jazz Fest cubes. You can come onto the landing page, NOLAxNOLA.com, goes right to our landing page for this, where you can see the clubs and see the schedules. Over 200 and some odd shows at 35 venues all across the city, which is really cool when you think about it, and being able to do that. And because of how sophisticated our software is, when you click on let's say you see Tips and you say, hey, I want to see that show, you click the button and it goes directly to the booking engine of the club. So the club controls capacity, club controls pricing, and we don't take a penny of it. It's all strictly for the benefit of the clubs. In addition, we're offering up to $3,000 or maybe even more to each of the clubs that put on a certain number of shows during this 2 weeks. So we decided we were going to put up to $100,000 to get this thing kicked off. You got a lot of clubs, you know, that are small. I mean, you can't have the number of people at Mother-in-Law that you would have at Tips, for example. So what we're trying to figure out is how do we create that mechanism, what we did, to give the control to the clubs, to have the revenue come from the clubs, and us create a real hook for the visitors and the nationals and the regionals and the locals who live, eat, and breathe music. Because you all know that what we market, really, it's food and music. I mean, how much fun is it to go out and eat in New Orleans and go to a 10 o'clock show? Or go out earlier and eat light and go to an 8 o'clock show? I mean, there is so much opportunity. And as we're talking through this, we realized, you know what, we don't want to make this just a one-off. We want to make this something that lives in perpetuity. So what our long-term goal is, and look, it's going to be smaller this year, 35 clubs, 200 to 250 shows. It's going to be bigger next year. And the great thing about this is that it will not only be a fall music festival on the club level, but we will promote and market these clubs year-round with our marketing power. So even after this 2 weeks is over, the ability of these clubs to put their shows, their tickets, free of charge on our site so we can promote them to millions will hopefully allow them to gain a level of prosperity back again, to have full houses, musicians to have more and more shows, and then on this special 2 weeks every fall, we don't know what the dates would be next year, but we're going to grow this. And we want it to be bigger than South by Southwest, which has been a wonderful production. But we have the ability to bring in all parts of our cultural economy in this, music being the key and the core. So, in summary, what we're talking about is the nation's first great music festival at the club level, the place where when you listen to music and your molecules rearrange a little bit. Because the way the sound is, seeing Kermit up front, if you've never stood 5 feet from Kermit listening to him play and talk, you're missing something. And the intimacy of Preservation Hall and what it's like going there and seeing those incredible musicians. And they're a part of a big promotion that we're going to be doing as well. So anyway, if we take that and make a big part of our fall marketing from now on into this approach on this NOLA by NOLA platform, and then we change the paradigm that's existed between how we promote and how we sell and how we market and how we message, and we bring it in a granular way down to the club level. We do videos of them. We do profiles of them. We're able to use them showing the richness and the depth of the culture bearers of New Orleans. So that's the goal, and we are incredibly excited. Thanks to Sig for that original idea and locking up that NOLA by NOLA name, to Mike and Paul and Greg and Ben and Howie and everybody from literally from Hi-Ho and Buffas to DBA, Spotted Cat, Tips, Tank especially. You know, it is, this is going to be a game changer. That's the idea, to do something big. So I'm going to turn it over now to one of the, I think it was probably about 20 to 25 years ago, 21 years ago, Howie came up with the idea of Howlin' Wolf right around the corner from me. And I got to tell you, there's nothing like it. Howie, I'd like to introduce you and have you say a few words about this.
It's kind of hard to go after someone like that knows what they're doing, but I'm going to give it a shot regardless. I want to say thanks to Stephen and to Mark and to Walt and all the folks here at New Orleans and Company that have kind of put a lot of this together. Definitely to Sig Greenebaum, who is an old dear friend as well, that kind of came up with this idea, and it kind of kept moving, and I'm really excited about the opportunity, about where we're going and what's going to possibly happen with this. The fact that we're finally talking about music not just as a thing to come and enjoy, but a thing that's part of our cultural economy, that puts jobs, that puts people together. This is such an important part about where we go and what we're doing. I manage another band called the Rebirth Brass Band that started with one of the gentlemen back there, Kermit Ruffins. And when you sit there and talk about the culture of New Orleans, you're not just talking about the food or the music, you're talking about the people. And so when we talk about culture bearers, we're not just talking about musicians or club owners. We're talking about, the guy that drives the Airbnb from the drives his Uber from the airport to your Airbnb. It talks about all these folks. It's your favorite sous chef. It's the guy that parks the cars at the hotel. It's all of these different pieces, the reason why people come here. Walt got me some amazing numbers back when we were fighting for the Save Our Stages Act through the National Independent Venue Association. 19 million people came here in 2019, and they haven't been able to come here since. So we've been making a joke. We're going to swipe left on 2020 and swipe left on 2021, and we're going to come back with 2022 strong. And I'm real excited that we get people like Stephen and the crew here at New Orleans and Company and all the different venues, including Preservation Hall, including Tipitina's, the folks that we continue to fight for. This is a battle that the city needs. You got 60,000 people that are employed by our hospitality industry. We need all of that. And so looking forward, this is an exciting time for all of us to get together and really recognize where the jobs come from. We're talking about our culture. This isn't just saving musicians or clubs. This is about our cultural economy. This is about dollars. This is about jobs. And this is a really exciting time, and I really look forward to not just continuing to work with the clubs that we've always worked well with together, but finding new and exciting places where we can go moving forward. Thank you again, Stephen, really. Thank you.
You know, when you can't be with people and you have Zoom, it's still cool. And the greatest thing is when you can be on this screen and you can see 25 club owners and musicians out there, and they're kind of like gently going, do you think you might, could come up with a little money, or is there any way? And I can still remember the faces when I said, well, what about we put $100,000 of seed money up and put another $2 to $2.5 million to market your clubs? You should have seen those faces. It was just like, what? And we all got each other excited. I mean, everybody on that call, that first call, got each other excited. And I got the most excited the very first time when I got the call from our next speaker, Mike Martinovich. Mike, come on up and say something.
Hi, everybody. For those of you, and there are many of you who don't know me, my name is Mike Martinovich, and I'm relatively new to New Orleans, but I've worked with Ben. I've had the pleasure of working with Ben in Preservation Hall for the better part of 12 years. Originally as the band manager, and I moved to New Orleans with my family to work at Preservation Hall and work with Greg and Ben with the Preservation Hall Foundation. In the last few years, I've become very close with the Chief Marketing Officer for New Orleans and Company, Mark Romig. Many of you are aware of the offline playlist tourism thing that we put together a couple of years ago. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. And that as that was finishing, we had COVID hit, and that whole program took a little bit of a left turn. And as we were turning lemons into lemonade, Mark introduced me to Stephen to do a 60th anniversary event for Preservation Hall, and then Delta hit. And so as we were licking our wounds over what was happening to our city and to the culture in the wake of Jazz Fest having to cancel, I called Mark about rescheduling the Preservation Hall 60th anniversary event, and it dawned on me that we should have a bigger conversation about involving all of the concert venues because of the programming that everybody in the city had worked so hard to put together for what is once called the after shows for Jazz Fest. And the after shows really aren't an afterthought. They're something that happens that's very important to all of us locally. It's something that all of the locals like to go do. And if you think about it a little bit further, there are a lot of venues that are owned by musicians, that are looked after by musicians, even if they're not musicians that are as famous as Kermit or Stanton or Ben. And in a way that we think about our restaurants and chef owners like Nina Compton and so on and so forth, there's a real culture there. And for NOLA by NOLA, when Sig and I were bandying about the idea of what to call it, having grown up in the music business myself, I thought South by Southwest, North by Northwest, it sounded a little tired initially, but when you think of the by and NOLA by NOLA really being about New Orleanians for New Orleanians, NOLA by NOLA, New Orleans by New Orleanians, this is something that we can enjoy in our own community, and if we enjoy it, then people around the country and around the world will enjoy it. So we have a lot to be proud of, and I couldn't be more thankful to be involved with everybody here. And I just want to say thank you to Stephen and Mark and Jeremy and everybody on the New Orleans and Company team. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mark Romig, the Chief Marketing Officer for New Orleans and Company.
Thanks very much, Mike. It has really been a pleasure working with this group that came together so quickly and was able to accomplish so much in such a few short weeks, actually. We made the original announcement on the Friday before Hurricane Ida with expectations that we were going to go full force into September, and then we were waylaid for about 2 to 3 weeks, but it picked up, and here we are today. Before I go into how we're going to actually tell this story, and we're out in the markets now with NOLA by NOLA, I need to mention a couple of people who have been instrumental in getting us to where we are today. That we would not be here with all you see on our website if it had not been for Jeremy Cooker, who's our Vice President of Marketing and Special Projects. His brilliance comes through each and every day, and we're very lucky to have him attached to New Orleans & Company. Also, Emily Uline, who is account director for our agency of record, Dentsu, has helped put together all the marketing assets and the schedules and the buys and so forth. And so, Emily, we want to thank you as well. We started our paid media on September 27th, when we felt comfortable enough coming out after we had all been through the various levels of devastation of Ida, but how New Orleans was coming together, because we felt that this was important now to get the message out, and we felt the time was ready. We will continue this through October 15th with a call to action to come to New Orleans, participate in our music, and be part of the scene. Our media markets for our advertising include Austin, Baton Rouge, Dallas, Houston, Jackson, Little Rock, Memphis, Monroe, Pensacola, Mobile, Shreveport, and most importantly, 2 other markets that we have great feed to with airlines, but also great interest, Atlanta and Chicago. Our tactics, we have television, radio, digital audio, connected TV through Vivo. And Vivo, those of you who are not familiar with it, allows you to watch or stream music videos. You can usually access that through Apple TV and Fire TV and tons of other services. And we're also using Instagram and Facebook. We are going where music lovers are finding their information, and people who want to experience things get into a community and what we call the experiential discoverer. They get out of their hotel. They're not sitting by a pool with a book, though we don't mind people doing that as long as they're staying in our hotels, but who really want to experience New Orleans, and how best to do that than to get to our music clubs and our venues. Another important part of our marketing is the local branding. It's important for us to get this message out to us citizens so that we can help build the brand, as Stephen said, so this is not just a one-off, that this becomes this annual event. And so we're doing a lot of local print and television to support the brand in our hometown. We're using partners such as Times-Picayune, Gambit, Tribune, Where You At, just to name a few, and most importantly, we're doing some out-of-home so that we're catching people on the interstate, so you'll be seeing some of those digital boards. We're also very fortunate to have a very talented graphic designer in-house here who designed our poster, which you see here. We're getting those produced as we speak, and we will be pushing those out to the clubs and venues so that they can put those posters out to be seen by their guests that come and visit. We want to thank Ranieri Tercios for his great work on that. Thank you. The website, as Stephen mentioned, is solid. You go to neworleans.com/NOLA by NOLA, and you will see the listing of all of these venues, the dates. You can choose what you want to do. You can package up different things if you'd like. You know, make your plans. People can look at how they want to spend the weekend or the weekday, each as important as the other, to visit these great venues. And we want to drive people to that NOLAbyNOLA.com URL as well, as you will see in some of our advertising, which then links directly to our landing page at neworleans.com. I'd also like to now share our radio, listen to our 30-second radio spot, utilizing the great voice of Ben Jaffe for that, and then we're also going to first show you the television. It's a 15-second television. It features the great visuals of Danny Clinch, a great photographer who has followed our work here in New Orleans and all the musicians for many, many years. And so, if I may, Maestro, if you could hit the television first.
Where you at, New Orleans? Are you ready?
call to action. Come and buy tickets, NOLAbyNOLA.com. Go to that site. It directs you right to our landing page with the information. And again, this is being seen in Austin, Baton Rouge, Dallas, Houston, Jackson, Little Rock, Memphis, Monroe, Pensacola, Mobile, Shreveport, Atlanta, and Chicago. Now for the radio.
Hey, this is Ben Jaffe from Preservation Hall. The New Orleans music you love is coming back October 7th. Dozens of venues with hundreds of shows are coming together safely for a new kind of festival, NOLA by NOLA. See Anders Osborne, Walter Wolfman Washington, Galactic, my band, Preservation Hall, and so many more. We can't wait to have you all back because no matter what the world throws at you, nothing stands between you and New Orleans music. NOLA by NOLA, starting October 7th. To learn more and to find tickets, visit neworleans.com.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. The site, one more mention about the site. It'll be constantly updated. You know, there are venues that change shows. They move shows around. They might have a different act coming in. And so it'll be constantly updated, working with the venues to do that. And now it gives me great pleasure to bring up here an American funk, jazz, and rock drummer from New Orleans. I think most of you know this gentleman, a founding member of Galactic. He's also one of the part owners of famed Tipitinas. We share the same high school, so we have that common bond, which is terrific as far as I'm concerned. One of the great things that this gentleman has done is he created the Stanton Moore Drum Academy, which is an online educational community for drummers and teachers of all levels and styles. He lives music, he believes in music, and he's truly one of the servant leaders in our business. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stanton Moore.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to speak from my personal perspective as a musician born in Metairie and then grew up in the city of New Orleans, started touring with my band Galactic, and after almost 25 years of touring, we bought our dream venue, our favorite venue on the planet, Tipitinas, in November of 2018. We had a great 2019, and then we had to shutter our doors on March 14th, 2020. So this has been a very challenging time for us, as everybody can possibly imagine. So to come out of this and get hit with a couple more setbacks, and then now to be coming out with the support of New Orleans and Company, and to have this NOLA by NOLA really using New Orleans and Company's firepower and marketing strength to bring attention to what we all know is quite an asset, is New Orleans music and the venues. But to now have this kind of strength, get behind it, and really draw people in, offer people a portal where they can plan what they're gonna go see. You can get reservations at restaurants anytime you want. It's a little bit more challenging to go into one spot and get all your tickets for your stay when you're coming to New Orleans. This, I think, will help with that a great deal. So it feels amazing to have this kind of support, and I'm really excited about this. Hopefully that we will continue with this. October is my favorite weather and time of the year. It starts to cool down, the breeze through the oak trees. It's a fantastic time to come to New Orleans, and I've been telling people that for years. They say, well, if I don't want to come for Mardi Gras or for Jazz Fest, when should I come to New Orleans? Well, I've always told people, come in October. And now we're giving people something to come for. And if I can just give you all a little bit of my own personal experience. Friday night, I played with Peter Harris at the Bayou Bar across the street, and it was packed. We ended at 11 p.m. to a standing ovation, 11 p.m. at the Bayou Bar Friday night. I got my butt over to Tipitinas because my wife was there for Lost Bayou Ramblers. I told her I'd get there as fast as I possibly could. It was a sold-out show, 800 people. The last show that Bayou Ramblers did with a standing room at Tipitinas was 600 people. So that's a growth in 200 people. My point of telling you this is that people are ready to get out and experience live music. And I think that if we can let them know where to find it, how to buy tickets, this is a wonderful thing, and I'm super excited about it. And me personally, I'm very optimistic about what I'm seeing with my own eyes from my perspective, from my musician side of things, and then showing up to tips and having a sold-out show. We just had our staff meeting this morning, and the whole staff is super energized and optimistic about these next 2 weekends that we have in front of us. So I hope everyone else is optimistic as well. Thank you to Stephen and Mark and everyone at New Orleans Company. Thank you, NOLA by NOLA. I can't wait for these next 2 weekends. We're going to have some fun. Yes, indeed. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, brother. I hope y'all like this poster. I mean, we did this in like 3 days. I mean, our folks are incredible. And, you know, now that I'm almost 30, I start looking at things that what are y'all laughing at? I look at, you know, I like retro things, and I bounced it off Mark, and I bounced it off a few of the guys, and I said, I want to do something like back when I was in high school, where we had concert posters, remember, back in the old days. And so we decided to do it, and decided to make that our full-page ad in the Picayune on Sunday, and then again this next Sunday. And people are liking it, and we're going to be spreading it all over town and in the clubs and the venues as we build this brand. Look, our last speaker, he needs no introduction. I got to thank him for playing for me at birthdays, at some of my weddings, earlier ones, later ones. He's played for my mom's birthday. Let me tell you what, his horn and his voice just say New Orleans from your marrow up, I'm telling you. And so we want to introduce and close with a bang, Mr. Kermit Ruffins. Kermit, come up and say something. Come on, say something. Come on, Kermit. Okay. Kermit, while you're up here, wait a minute, while you come get up, I'm gonna bring Ben up. You gotta wet your whistle. Every one of us loves and appreciates, whether you're in this industry or you just love it, the role that Preservation Hall plays in keeping our music traditions alive. And look, one of the biggest ad campaigns we've ever done has been the stuff that we just shot and marked, 2 years ago with Ben. It's going to be a big part of the campaign. So Ben, while we're getting Kermit kind of wetting his whistle, you need some water, brother? You good? Ben, come on up. Ben Jaffe, Mr. Preservation Hall.
Mark Romig, Stephen Perry, everybody here at New Orleans and Company. We are indebted as a city to the work that you all do. We travel all over the country. The Preservation Hall Jazz Band, up until 2 years ago, traveled 6 months a year. And whatever market we would go to, we would always catch a little bit of the work that you all do. And the work helps. You know, we've all experienced the reality of the size of this city. We're about 375, 400,000 people, but we act like a city of 2, 3, 4 million sometimes. And that's the perception outside of New Orleans. And something that we all know is that New Orleans is a cultural ecosystem. You know, a dear friend of mine, his name is Pete Shapiro, he and I were talking one day, and he said, you know, I told him, he said, man, music's not a noun in New Orleans, music is a verb. I said, you're right. I said, so is community, and so is culture. Those words are living pieces of this city, and that's hard to explain to somebody who's not from here, that music is essential to who we are. Not just the playing of music, but the community of music. You know, the fact that we have a person like, you know, Kermit Ruffins, who carries on several traditions, you know, not just the music tradition, because music is the actual listening of the notes and the playing of the notes is one aspect of this tradition, but the community that he supports through his venues in town. And I encourage everybody to go check out his new spot down in the lower 9, the Juke Joint, y'all, right? Beans on Monday? Today's Monday. We got beans today? Pasta today? Pasta today. A new New Orleans tradition. This event is something that all of the musicians in New Orleans have always kind of scratched our head and wondered, when are we going to have something like South by Southwest? I mean, when are we going to actually celebrate this, the dozens and dozens of little neighborhood spots that feed this community? We don't have to create a festival. There's one here every weekend. There's a festival here every Monday night usually. So when we got the news of Jazz Fest and then Voodoo and Buku and French Quarter Fest, it was just natural. All of us had the same idea all at the same time. And it was, as I was calling one person, someone would be calling me on the other line, and I'd be getting multiple text messages. And thanks to Stephen and to Mark and to Mike and to Greg Lucas and to all, and Ron Rona and everybody at Preservation Hall, this came together. We could not have put this together in 5 years, but we did it in 6 weeks, and that's amazing. So bravo to New Orleans and Company for that is actually one of the silver linings to COVID, is things are happening faster. You need to get somebody on the phone, or you need to go visit someone, you know where they're at. Right? So, and right now we're here, and I don't think that there's any better way to celebrate the beauty that is New Orleans than to just play a little music. I want to introduce, where's Ronell Johnson? I know Ronell might still be out there. Bring your trombone up, Ronell. You brought your drum? Yeah, come on.
I'm not big on talking, but this is one of the best things that happened in the city in a long time. NOLA by NOLA. My God, this city is everything, and we are so blessed to grow up and live here in this beautiful city. It's just a blessing to all of us and everybody involved in this beautiful community.
Let me end and say this. We are back. We are alive. The music lives. The food is being cooked. This is still the greatest place to live or to come visit in the United States. And we know it's the most sensory place in the world, from the things that we see, from the food that we taste, and from what our ears catch of the greatest musicians on the planet. So from this moment on, our company and the entire industry is going to be a part of driving people into our clubs every night, weekday, weekend, and delivering that part of New Orleans that exists nowhere else but here. And that's in the horns of these amazing people and the drums of these incredible guys. So thank you all for coming. New Orleans clubs will survive, the musicians will be back, and we are going to make it and do an incredible job. Guys, thank y'all so much.
Do we have any questions from the media? We can also do one-on-ones afterwards, whatever you prefer. Y'all want one-on-ones? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We appreciate it.